darn it, I messed that part up. Now I have to do the whole video over again. Wait, nope, don't think that way. Easy editing techniques can help wipe away those problems and really touch up your videos so they look pretty good when you post them. I'm not doing anything complicated. I'm using an app on my phone to do that, and it's pretty simple so far. And so many of you have asked for an editing video that I just kind of want to show you what I'm doing at this point that seems to be doing pretty well. Hey, I'm Diane. I'm 55. I am starting this channel to help my fellow Gen Xers and early boomers kind of learn different ways that they can impact the world. And hey, if there's an opportunity to make some extra money while doing it, all the better. So the app that I'm using to edit is called CAPCUT, and it's really pretty simple. It's got 5,000 things to choose from once you're in the app, but if you just stick with the basic techniques, I think it will be pretty easy for you to be able to do. I use it on my phone, sometimes on my iPad, just so I can see it a little bit bigger, but it does have it so that you can have it on your computer as well, if you'd feel more comfortable doing that. So I definitely subscribe to the idea that if you're a couple steps ahead on the path of somebody with learning things, that you're in a position where you can share them what you're doing. So that's where I feel like I'm at with doing editing, because I'm really no pro at this. I'm using very much the basic techniques at this point, but they're getting the job done.
We're just going to go ahead and open up new project. So when you are loading up the video footage that you have, the first one that you record is probably going to be the first one that you want in your video, assuming that you've done it chronologically. You do have some room to move them around once you get in there. But just for the sake of our conversation, I'm going to hit the top three, and we'll hit that this will be the first one, second one, and third. So choosing 1, 2, 3, you see them light up here. Then you go add. And that starts it into your very first CapCut project. So we see that the three that I've chosen are all now here in one line, which means that it's basically the three clips have already become one project. The big thing about CapCut is that it is pretty easy to take the beginnings and the ends of each clip that you have here, and by me just touching them brings up the option of where you can carve off the part of the footage that you don't want. So I've mentioned in my other videos that I record videos generally in small sections at a time. And I also run them by the camera app on my watch to start and stop. So in my footage, you can see, scrolling back here to the end, that I am shutting it off on my watch. Well, I certainly don't want that in a video. So here's our first thing. I'm going to show you what the editing capability is here. The white end of it shows that that's the end of the clip, and this is the start of the next one, this white connection in the middle. So all I need to do is choose the clip that I want to edit. I move back so you can see me going back to where I'm actually looking at the camera, looking pleasant, and not messing with trying to shut things off on my watch. So I am just doing it where I stop talking, little pleasant smile. Don't want that to last too long. And all the footage of me turning off on my watch is gone. And it's just a short little well-edited, well-finalized clip there. Of course, we want the option that when you screw up a word and you want to take out that little part, or if you rewatch it and you think, that section just isn't necessary, I'm just going to take out that entire section there. CapCut makes that very easy to do. So I'm going to say whatever I'm pointing at here, that's the beginning of what I want to take out. So it is helpful to take note of the time that you're just, it makes it a little clearer as you're kind of just creating these clips to take out these. So I'm going to say, all right, my finger's wagging at right about that 120 mark on the video. So I will hit edit and I will hit split. So that notes the very beginning of where I want to remove the clip of, I'm going to say, a few seconds here when I'm back looking at the camera again. I don't know what I'm saying
on YouTube,
but it really doesn't matter here because I'm just showing for the sake of example. So I will hit split again. So that creates a new clip here moving forward, but it also creates a clip that if you just go to the left on that time frame. So I go back, I know that I hit it at about 120 to start. So that's the beginning of the clip I want to remove. That's to the end. So I choose that. And then to get rid of it, all I do is just hit delete and it goes away. So may not be the best example because I'm moving my hand around and it's a little bit of
Two,
a
I
not subtle visual change. So I'm going to ignore what the audio is, but I'm going to move back to a little bit about where I'm looking at the camera again. Try that just so you can see.
thinking about it.
I want the
I
visual to be a little subtle in this case, so it's not super obvious that I took out a chunk. Now your audio may mess that up with what you're doing, but if if you have the option, it's nice that that was a pretty very subtle change there with that clip going. So I'm happy with that aspect of it. There's also another aspect that I try to make sure I include in my videos that almost serves as like, here's a new chapter. I try to concentrate on 3 or 4 points in the midst of a video. And when I change points, I want to also have a little bit of a visual dynamic that says, hey, this is something new I'm talking about here. And so it's a little bit more of a shift visually that I want to encompass that the viewers can go along with me in saying, new point, okay, that makes sense. So we want the transition to have at least a tiny bit of notice. I say a tiny bit because CapCut gives you choices for how you would add an animation to create that transition. And I can just scroll down here and show you some that are obviously going to be rather attention getting when you put it in. The goal is not to throw the viewer off and say, what the heck just happened there? And that they stop sort of paying attention to what you're saying. My goal, and if this is the way that you want to choose too, is to just have that little bit of a demure choice there that is just a tiny visual signal that something new is coming. So honestly, I usually choose just this first one here,
I
that's side slide. Now, obviously, that's a pro version. There would be other things you can choose here that would be part of the free version too. But I'm just showing you what my choice is with the pro version. And side slide is pretty low key, so I can see if I can get that in there that it shows for you.
been thinking
And
about it.
boom, little side slide that was a
I
change
need
there.
to
Let me just
learn
show that to you again. You can see it's different from a cut. So
about it.
right there, that
I
very quick slide in. It's not necessarily shown by, I'm not really saying anything different there, but if you are changing the chapters, changing the topic in your video, I think that's just a nice sort of sly visual signal in there that you are changing the course a little bit and you're doing something to help keep the attention of the viewer going as you're talking.
Hey, me again. I just want to refer to what I'm calling the pro version of the app that we've talked about some here. You can use the app completely for free, but it does have a pro version to it, which I personally am using because it gives me a few aspects that I'm liking with my choices. I believe it's $8.99 a month. That price might have changed. But I do have a link in the description where you can get the pro version for 7 days just to try it out. And that's what I definitely think you have to do with CapCut is just, put some clips in there and mess around and try out some things, see what you like, find out what some of these bells and whistles are, but don't get sucked into the rabbit hole of trying everything because you could be there for weeks. But the pro version, I'm finding to be worth it, but you can use it completely for free. But if you want to try those 7 days, head down to the link.
Next option of a basic thing that you might want to include in your videos is to have a tiny bit of text on top. Sometimes you just want a little bit of a message on your screen that CapCut can just create text on there that's just like maybe 1 or 2 lines of text tops, I would say. You don't want to go too much over top. Obviously, not over top of your face, but you don't want the whole screen filled up by what you have on CapCut because it's just supposed to meant to be almost like a little caption on the screen. So that would just be hitting text and then add text brings up a line that can be where you start. So I'm just going to type out a quick hello to you all. Then you can move that wherever you want it to be on the screen. And from there, font choices, you probably have 1,000 to choose from, more than you ever probably really need to see. So I'll just choose Fortitude, and there's ways that you can choose styles, colors, changes, whatnot too. So, and again, the little check mark on CapCut is always the way that you want to establish with it. So I'll just touch the screen quick. You can see the box go away from that. And then you can see how long that's going to be underneath. It's actually going to be on the video itself. So I think it's like, looks like it's about 3 or 4 seconds is the default. So I can grab that if I wanted to start earlier. I can drag that out so it goes earlier. Or obviously I can do the same thing, mimicking the editing function of dragging it to the end and move it around on the video where I want and how long I want that to go. Or I can choose the whole thing again and say, nope, I don't like that. So I hit X and goodbye, the hello is gone forever. So that is an option to be able to add text on the screen too, just if you need a short message at any point. So as you can see, CapCut really has a lot of options here. And I would say of all the choices, because then once you go into these, you get like another 15 options with every choice. And it can be a little bit overwhelming if you think you need all that. I probably, of all the things that are here, I might use like 10% of what's here. And I'm learning. I'm trying to figure out the different options of what you have. And there are definitely some things that I would get into that if you think you want a part two on this, I'm happy to consider that. We can do putting photos and videos on top of the screen here. That's an overlay function would get into that. Filters and changing around light is really a nice aspect. You know, I try to keep my light pretty decent as I'm filming, but you can choose various filters. And golly, I just gave myself gray hair there to change light dynamics as to, you know, if you need to brighten things up, if you need to kind of calm the contrast down, there's a ton of choices on CapCut that may be way more than what you want. And again, you can choose that. And if you end up that you don't like it, it's just putting it on there as another aspect of your video choice. So I'm just going to choose that, say I don't like it, hit delete, and it goes back to what I had originally. But the filters and changing the light option is really nice because we don't always have that perfect environment to be able to shoot our videos that's nice and bright. So let me just show you a few other highlights of what I will use on occasion with CapCut. I know if I have any noise in the background somewhat, like if there's a dog barking outside of my window, or for whatever reason, like a clock ticking, or just those really things that are just so subtle, but you can hear them. You do have the option to enhance voice on your videos. So it just pulls out your voice so it's more dynamic on it. You see when you do these things, it goes through the process to do it. I'll just stop it there for you to see. Now, I do notice that this is a pro option within CapCut. Again, not something you have to do, but I'm just showing you the things that I will often do just to do a little bit of a bump up here. So also, ladies especially, there is an option to do a little bit of retouching on your face for just to, make ourselves look a little younger, especially if we're doing this stuff as our Gen X and early boomers. Who's going to say no to that? So options for those choices too. So as you get in and you have some time to just play around with CapCut, you're going to see all choices of things. And again, don't be overwhelmed by all the choices. Be wise in what you choose, and just not go crazy with creating really like way more visually dynamic things than what you probably should have for a YouTube video, because your ultimate goal is that your viewer is not distracted by anything and they want to just pay attention to what you're saying, what you're looking like, and your content's getting to them, rather than weird special effects that they're going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? So demure is always the key here. So also options for adjustment for obviously brightness, contrast, saturation, brilliance, all the things that are just going to make those visual dynamics of what you need there. The Pro version gives you things where they're a little bit more automatic and you don't have to do a lot of, just changing one by one. So I will show that there's always choices that you can have to slide these things back and forth and make those changes there. Look, that's a really big dynamic contrast change. So you can always go back to where you started from. Don't worry that you're like changing things up beyond what repair is just by hitting obviously the reset. So I'm taking everything away from the clip, and the check mark takes me away from that. So again, more pro options to reduce some of the flickers, to automatically bring up the image quality to it. And again, the filters for all sorts of visual choices that you can use or not. So this backup arrow will always take you away from that too. So you're never stuck in things that like, how did I get here? I don't know what to do. And again, you can just delete things from there too. So there's also options to add audio. I have really not done that a whole lot yet. You come with an entire sound catalog of choices. I'm just staying away from music at this point in time in my videos, mainly because I just think the whole copyright thing is more than I want to deal with right now. So I know there's lots of video creators that say that having a nice subtle music bed under a video is additive. I don't disagree. I think it's kind of pleasant to listen to as you're listening, but I don't want to deal with it because there's too many copyright things that YouTube would, kind of just give the axe on a video and you just don't even know. So I haven't messed honestly with a whole lot of things in here of your choices, but if that's something that's important to you, obviously you have lots of things that you can bring into play by what CapCut brings right with you. I'm sure there's sound effects and so forth too to be able to easily add in. So once you have your video the way that you want it, you're happy with all of your cuts, you're happy with all of your transitions, you have the lighting the way you want it, and all the things that you've chosen to make this magnificent work of art within CapCut, then obviously the final thing you want to do is be able to export it. Now you do have choices for all the resolutions, frame rates, all these sorts of things. I'm a basic girl, so I just really keep things at the settings that they're at. The 1080p works great. That's great face, Diane. We're going to change that. And that's fine to be able to export, especially for YouTube usage. So I would not, if you're creating things solely for use on YouTube, there really isn't a need to change any of these settings for how you're going to export. Then obviously when you're ready to go, hit that big blue export button. And my videos are usually about 15 minutes, and it can take maybe about 10 minutes total to export. So don't be alarmed if you've got a little bit of a longer video that's going to take some time, but you can see the speed that it's moving at now with the export for something I've got here. This may be about 4 minutes long.
So does that help? I hope so. And I hope that it seems approachable for you. Honestly, when I first started using CapCut, I thought, wow, this is a little easier than I expected it to be. As long as I stuck with those basic techniques and didn't really kind of go down the rabbit hole of all the many choices that they have of other things, but there were things that I probably never need, and I was like, I want to get good at the stuff that I actually need. So I hope it seems more approachable for you. I can do a part two of more basic techniques. I just didn't want to make this one terribly long, and I wanted this to be the ground level things that I think you might be able to use the most. But I can talk about putting in other like B-roll clips, if you've ever heard that term, of the other clips that you would put in that aren't necessarily your video, and how I go about doing that, and some other things too. So if you're interested in a part two, leave me a comment, and I can see what I can do there. And I know the audio may not be the greatest quality on this video overall. It actually took me a little time to figure out how to do it with the screen recording, with the audio on it, and so forth too, and then putting in these other clips. So thanks for your forbearance on that, and I really just hope this helps you. So if you're continuing on your video journey, hopefully these basic editing tips are going to be something that help, and I really hope you keep moving forward.